Welcome back to today's lesson. You guys will see it is about the journals that we're going to talk today. Only for today, we're going to talk about the journals, the CRJ and the CPJ regarding a service enterprise. But as we go along, I will give you more information through to that. But let's just start, as we always do, by greeting each other in the chat box. I can see some more people starting to log in now, so that's good. Okay, before we're going to start, just again, my apologies for yesterday. Let's hope it's not happening today and that everything will go smooth. Right, let's start with the lesson. The slide you see now have some pictures on it, okay? And it's about service enterprises or service businesses. What they do is they render a service to the public. If we look at the picture, then you guys will see we have some, right at the top, it is saying Clean Paws. That is an animal shop. And then we have next to it a guy, there were some jackets. That's an example of dry cleaners. Then on the left-hand side bottom, there's a dentist. Next to it is a guy that's busy with car repairs. So that will be an example. Let's have a mechanic. And then next to it, there's a guy that will be a doctor. He's busy with a consultation. So all these examples are examples of service enterprises, service businesses. They render a service to the public. Okay. The next one that I'm going to show to you is about a trading enterprise or a trading business. Here it's about products or items that they sell. For instance, you guys will see there's clothing, okay, and a little bit more to the back of the picture, there's a little fruit shop, a bakery, a deli, and a meat shop. So every time there is some products or items are involved. And that is then examples of a trading business or a trading enterprise. So the first important thing is you need to know the difference between a service enterprise and a trading enterprise. A service enterprise, again, the previous slide, is where a service is rendered to the public. While a trading enterprise, if you look at this current slide, is where items or products are going to be sold. You need to know examples of them. Okay, and then why I also indicated to you guys is because in accounting, when you're going to do the books of a business, the journals, the first entries, then you can do the books either for a service enterprise or a trading enterprise. And your journals is a little bit different from each other. So the way you're going to do it for a service business is not exactly the same as for a trading business. Now in grade 8, you started to do only for a service business. And in grade 9, you are actually starting to concentrate more on a trading business. But remember what I said last week to you guys, because of those assessments that you have done before and it was not so good, we are starting it to do right from the beginning again. So we are going to start with your CRJ and your CPJ. And we will check now if it's going to be for a service enterprise or for a trading enterprise. But before we're going to get to that, I also want to indicate this table to you, and this is very important, guys. You need to check the summary and please scan through it as we talk through it, because I might just ask some questions based on this table at the end of the lesson. Right, let's work through it because this is basic accounting concepts that you guys need to know. The first column, the green column there, is saying assets. Okay, now first of all, let's say, what is assets? Okay, assets is things that you can see and you can touch it. It's having a value all right? For instance, a car, okay? A vehicle. You can see it, you can touch it, it's having a value. That's an example of an asset. I'm sitting on a chair. So this chair, I can see it, I can touch it, it's having a value. So it's an example of an asset. All right. So assets is something that has quite a value, and these things that you can see and you can touch, it's a belonging, okay? But before we get into the different groups, just where you are sitting now, okay? And I will tell you what I see on my side. Just where you're sitting, check around and see what is the assets that you have there in your room or wherever you are sitting. What do you see? And some of you are welcome to indicate it in the chat box as well. Like for instance, I'm sitting now in my bra room, so I can see a TV, that's an asset, the laptop in front of me, the chair I'm sitting on, here's a fridge for instance, a hi-fi system. So all these things are assets in my room currently. I can see somebody's already saying, Tandu is saying desk table, that is an asset. Right, is there some of you still want to add something? What's the asset you can see maybe around you? Right, there's somebody saying a laptop, for instance, good. And then if you still look at that green column, okay, we have talked overall about assets, but assets are divided into groups, okay? Now look there in that block and you need to know this. You are getting two groups of assets, non-current assets and current assets. And you need to know the examples under each one. So your non-current assets are your fixed assets like land and buildings, vehicles and equipment, as well as financial asset like your fixed deposit. So when I'm going to ask you maybe at the end of the lesson, you must give me an example of a fixed asset. Check there, what will it be? Land and buildings, vehicles or equipment. Then you also get current assets, and the examples there is trading inventory. You might know it better as trading stock, debtors, cash in the bank, so it's the bank account of the business, cash float, and petty cash. So again, yes, you get assets. You need to know what assets is. You need to give examples, but you also need to know there are two groups of assets, non-current assets and current assets, and you need to know the examples under each one. If we move to the next block, quite the orange block, now you must check there, it's about owner's equity. Now, what is the four things that is falling under owner's equity? Right, check there, it's capital, drawings, expenses, and income. Okay, that's the four things that is falling under owner's equity. Capital, drawings, income, and expenses. Under income, I've mentioned a few there that like current income, rent income, sales, I can add commission income, etc. And with expenses, there's a long list like water and electricity, the bill, you need to pay for it. Telephone bill, you need to pay for it. Stationery, you purchase stationery, but you need to pay for it. Fuel and oil, so you need to put some fuel in your car and you need to pay for it. If we go a little bit down, wages and salaries, you need to pay the wages and salaries. So I think you guys can hear every time when you pay something, then it is an expense. And then on the right-hand side, there's liabilities, and you guys will start to work a little bit more with liabilities this year. And liabilities means when you owe someone money. And again, there are two groups, the non-current liabilities. That is, for example, like your loans. So when you take out a loan at a bank, you still need to pay that loan back. So that's a liability because you still owe the money. And the other group is the current liabilities, and your examples are their creditors and bank overdraft. All right, so again, quickly scan through this table, check there. As I said, I might ask some questions based on this table at the end of the lesson. So you need to know assets. What is assets? Remember the two main groups, non-current assets and current assets. Owner's equity, the four main things under owner's equity is capital, drawings, income, and expenses. And with liabilities, you get non-current liabilities and current liabilities, and you need to know the examples there. Right, now we're starting to get to an activity there. This slide and the next slide is just going to indicate to you what we are going to look at, and this exercise is going to be moving over 2 days. So it's saying there, Daisy Morris, owner of Spick a Span Cleaners, a service business employing domestic workers who clean the houses in town. The transactions for the month of April are given. What do they ask you to do? So before we're going to look at the instructions, so it's Spick a Span Cleaners. The owner is Daisy Morris. They tell you it is a service business, a service enterprise. And then with the instruction with number 1, you have to record the transactions for April in the cash receipt journal, the CRJ. And with number B, the cash payments journal, the CPJ, and they give you the headings then. With number 2, they ask you to close off the journals. What they mean with that is you need to add up all the columns and get the totals at the bottom of your journals. And as we move along, with number 3, they ask you to open the following accounts in the general ledger of Spick a Span Cleaners. So you're going to do the general ledger, that's the T accounts. With number 4, they ask you to prepare a trial balance for Spick a Span Cleaners. So 4 things are going to be done. Okay, you're going to do the CRJ and the CPJ. That's what we're going to look at today. Then the 3rd thing is the general ledger accounts, and the 4th thing is the trial balance, but that we will continue with this exercise another day by completing it. All right, so for today, we're just going to concentrate on the 2 journals, the CRJ and the CPJ. And remember, people, it's a service enterprise. Okay, so we're taking it actually from last year, but we are going to move later on, maybe this week, next week, to a trading enterprise, so you can see how the difference in the columns is going to look alike. Right, there's your transactions for April. There's on the 1st, the 5th, the 7th, the 11th, the 14th, the 18th, the 20th, 21, 26, and 28. Remember what is happening here? These transactions are mixed. You, as you read the transaction, you need to understand, get some key things out of the transaction. That is going to help you so you know, must you take it to the CRJ or to the CPJ? Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to work through the different transactions step by step. Okay, doesn't matter which journal, I will move around between the different journals. Right, before we're going to look at the transactions, let me just go quickly to the journal so we can look at the subheadings. So there, for instance, there's the CRJ, the cash receipts journal. Let's look at the headings. It's document number, day, details. Okay, don't worry about that small FOL folio column. You don't work with that. Then analysis of receipts, bank, current income, and sundry accounts. Again, I'm telling you people, this is a service enterprise. Okay, therefore, there's a current income column with your CRJ. As soon as we're going to move to the CRJ, but with a trading enterprise, then the current income column is falling away and you're getting 2 other columns, and we name them sales and cost of sales. Okay, so I'm just going to start somewhere to give you the bigger picture at the end of the day. All right, so today it's a service enterprise. As soon as we get into the other one, then I will compare the 2 next to each other to you guys so you can see it. Right, and then if we're going to move to the CPJ, just for the headings, you guys will see I've already put it there. It's document number, day, name of payee, or sometimes they will put the details. Again, don't worry about that small FOL folio column, bank, wages, cleaning materials, and your sundry accounts. Okay, so the headings is there, that is sorted. Now we're going to move back to the transactions. On the first, Daisy Morris increases the capital with 60,000. So it's a capital transaction. She deposited a check into the current account of Spick and Span Cleaners. So she's deposited it into the bank account. Issue receipt 06. Right. I'm going to stop there because the next transaction, still on the first, is another transaction. So let's just finish that first one. That's about capital of 60,000. Right. Which journal? CRJ or CPJ? Okay, it will be the CRJ. Why? Because it's a capital transaction. Capital always goes to the CRJ. And another indication is your source document. And your source document is a receipt. And in the CRJ, it's always going to be the receipt or the cash register roll. Okay, so remember this now. I'm going to show you the entry. So it's going to be receipt number 6 on the first, capital of 60,000. And the name Daisy Morris. So go to the CRJ, look there, there's the entry with document number, it's receipt number 6. I will actually want you guys always to write there R for receipt in front of the number. The day is the day on which the transaction happened, that is on the first. With details, you always write the name of the person from the transaction. Let me go back so you can see the name again. Do you see there? Daisy Morris. 60,000 Rand. And I've put it in analysis of receipts and in bank and with sundry accounts. Why sundry accounts? Because there's not a capital column for that. So then it goes to sundry accounts. You put the amount there, the 60,000, and you say for what is it? It is for capital. Right. Let me quickly go back to the transaction. They said they deposited a check. Okay. That means that the person, Daisy Morris, have written a check out and she was giving it to the business. So that means the check was not paid directly into the bank account. It was given at the business. So the check is first going to the safe of the business. That's why it has been written in with analysis of receipts. Okay, just again about analysis of receipts. Every time that the amount or the cash money is being received at the business, then it goes to the safe first, and the safe is what we call the analysis of receipts. And at the end of the day, then they will take the total to bank. Right, let me give you just quickly another example to explain analysis of receipts to you guys. Let's say this morning, 9 o'clock, one of your parents paid the school fees money at the school. What is happening? The lady there in the finance office is taking the money from your mother. She writes out a receipt, give it to your mom as proof of payment, but she's not taking the money and running to the bank with it. She is putting it in the safe of the school. Right, a little bit later on 12 o'clock, another parent is coming to pay school fees money. Same story, the lady in the finance office takes the money, writing out a receipt as proof of payment to your mom, and she's again not running to the bank. She puts the money in the safe of the business. And at the end of the day, then she takes all those money to the bank. So every time, can you hear? Every time that money is received, it goes to the safe. Same with a business. Every time that money is coming into the business, it goes to the safe. The safe is analysis of receipts. At the end of the day, they take the total to bank. Right. Back to the transactions. Sorry, just hang on. Still on the first, but the next transaction is saying paid soap suppliers 3,410 Rand by check 102 for cleaning materials purchased. Right, pay something. If you pay something, then it means it must go to the CPJ. Okay, another indication is your source document. I talk about the check here. If it's a check, then it also goes to the CPJ. So right, look there and remember the information. So we're still on the first. It's check 102 for 3,410 Rand. It's for cleaning materials. Right, there's your entry in the CPJ. So document number is check 102 on the first. There with name of payee or details. Now you look for a name of a business in the transaction. And let me quickly go back so you can see the name. Soap Suppliers. 3,410 Rand in bank. And for what it was for cleaning materials. There is a cleaning materials column. So then you write it in that specific column. Before we continue, just look quickly at your CPJ. So can you guys see every time the amount is in bank and for what it is? Bank and cleaning materials, or bank and wages, or bank and vehicles, for instance. Right? We're moving to the fifth. Received 5,600 Rand from P. Potter for services rendered. Issue receipt 07. You receive money. They talk about services rendered. They talk about receipt. That's everything that must indicate to you that the journal will be the CRJ. Okay. So remember it. Receipt number 7 on the 5th. Look, there's the name P. Potter and the amount 5,600, and it's for services rendered. So let's see how we're going to enter it into the CRJ. So there you see it, document number 7 on the 5th with details, the name of a person, P. Potter, the amount 5,600 Rand, and look, it was entered with analysis of receipts with bank and current income. Analysis of receipts, bank and current income. Because the 5,600 Rand was received at the business, so it first goes to the safe, analysis of receipts. At the end of the day, it will go to bank. And every time that it is a services rendered transaction, every time when it is a services rendered transaction, the amount must be entered into the current income column. All right, so remember this. It's a services rendered transaction. The amount must be entered into current income. Right, then we move to the 7th. Paid the weekly wages by check 103, 3,000 Rand. Again, you pay something. If you pay something, it must go to the CPJ. Right, so remember, it's wages. Remember, it's check 103 for 3,000 Rand. So in the CPJ, there you see on the 7th, check 103. Right, with name of payee or details, can you guys see the little word cash is there? Now, let me go quickly back to the transactions. Look at the 7th. Do you see a name of a business in that transaction? No. If you don't see a name, then you write the word cash in the CPJ. So when it's the CPJ, there's no name of a business, then you're going to write the word cash in the CPJ. 3,000 Rand with bank, 3,000 Rand with wages, because it was about wages that you have paid. So again, every time the amount in bank and for what it is, bank and wages. On the 11th, received 7,200 Rand from S. Sitole for services rendered. Issue receipt 08. Right, let me first do that one. So you receive money, okay, as soon as your money received, then it must be the CRJ. Receipt is another indication to help you. Remember, it's again a services rendered transaction. Remember what I've said, if it's services rendered, then the amount must be in current income. Right, so remember this. On the 11th, Remember the amount 7,200. The name is Sitole. It's for services rendered, and it's receipt 08. So there you guys will see on the 11th, it's receipt 08 with document number. We've got a name from the transaction, is Sitole. 7,200 rands will be with analysis of receipts, with bank, and with current income. Why with current income? Because it is a services rendered transaction. So again, so look on the 5th and the 11th. Both of them are the same type of transactions. It's services rendered transactions. So then the amounts must be every time with analysis of receipts, bank, and current income. Still on the 11th, but the next part there, purchase a second-hand vehicle from B&M Motors, 25,000 Rand, paid by check 104. So it's, again, you pay something, it's check. So then you guys must know it must go to the CP chain. Right, so it's a vehicles transaction. You've got the name of a business there, B&M Motors, 25,000 Rand. It's check 104. Going to the CPJ, so look there on the 11th, B&M Motors with name of payee or details, 25,000 Rand in bank, and it's for vehicles. There's not a vehicles column, therefore it goes to sundry accounts. On the 14th, paid the weekly wages by check 105, 3,000 Rand. Okay, pay something, check is involved, so then it must go to the CPJ. So remember, it's wages on the 14th, check 105 for 3,000 Rand, and it's going to the CPJ. Okay, so check the on the 14th, check the 105, 3,000 Rand in bank, 3,000 Rand with wages because it's about wages. Again, there was no name of the transaction. I will go back now and then you guys can see there was no name of a business in the transaction. Therefore, you're going to write the word cash. So just as we go back, look down the 14th, no name of a business. Therefore, you write the word cash. On the 18th, issued check 106 to appliances wholesalers, 7,645 Rand for a new vacuum cleaner. Right, so it's a check and you're going to pay for the vacuum cleaner, so it will go to the CPJ. There's your name, appliances wholesalers. Remember the amount. It will be check 106 and it's for a vacuum cleaner that will fall under equipment. Okay, so check there on the 18th, document number 106, appliances wholesalers, 7,645 Rand in bank. It's for equipment. There's not an equipment column, therefore you will take it to sundry accounts. Right, on the 20th, rendered services. So it's a services rendered transaction. Immediately a little light must flicker somewhere in your head saying current income, right? Rendered services to G. Naidu for 4,800 Rand, issue receipt 09. So again, if it's a receipt, it's a rendering services, then you must know it will be the CRJ. So there it is on the 20th. It is now document number or receipt number 09. The name of the person was G. Naidu, 4,800 Rand. And it was for services rendered, so it must go to analysis of receipts, bank, and current income. Again, if it's a services rendered transaction, the amount must be every time in analysis of receipts, bank and current income. On the 21st, paid the weekly wages by check 107 for 3,000 rand. So again, a wages transaction. Right. Remember, there's no name of a person or a business. So what are you going to write? The word cash. Remember, it's check 107, 3,000 rand. If it is paying something, then it must go to the CPJ. So there you guys can see there on the 21st. Remember what I said, no name of a business. So it's the word cash, 3,000 rand in bank, 3,000 rand in wages. Right, then we move to the 26th and be careful with this one. Paid the telephone account, 914 rand with check 108, as well as the monthly insurance premium at Safety Insurance, 870 rand, issued check 109. You can actually say there are two transactions here on the same date, both of them on the 26th. The one is regarding the telephone account, where the amount is 914 rand, and the other one is about insurance, where the amount is going to be 870 rand, and there are separate check numbers. Right, both of them you need to pay. If you pay something, it must go to the CPJ. Okay, let's just take the telephone one first so you guys can see. So remember, it's now the telephone, CPJ, 914 rand on the 26th, and it's going to be check 108. So look there on the 26th, check 108. It's Telkom that you pay for the telephone bill of 914 rand in bank, and it's with Sandra accounts because it's for telephone and there's not a telephone column. Okay, then now quickly going back, but remember we still need to do that insurance one still on the 26th. Just check again at the information. So insurance with safety insurers, 870 rand, and it's check 109. You need to pay it, so it also goes to the CPJ. So still on the 26th, it's just the next check number, check 109, 870 rand in bank. And with Sandra accounts, it's for insurance. It's with Sandra accounts because there was not a column for insurance. Right, last transaction there on the 20th, 8th. Paid the weekly wages by check 110, 3,000 rand. So again, it's a wages transaction. Again, there's no name, so what must you remember? The word cash. For 3,000 rand, check 110. If you pay wages, it must go to the CPJ. So there you can see on the 20th 8, check 110. There was no name, so you write the word cash. 3,000 rand in bank, and 3,000 rand goes towards wages. There is a wages column, so then you write it in that specific column. Right, while we're having the CPJ in front of us, okay, listen to a few important things that you need to know. So with document number, you're going to write the check number in there every time, and you can see it is in a specific order. With day is the day on which the transaction happened. Name of payee, or sometimes they put details there, is the name of the business from the transaction, except when there's no name, then you write the word cash, like on the 7th, the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th. The amount from the transaction every time in bank and for what it is, like bank and wages, bank and cleaning materials, or bank and vehicles. And if there's not a specific column for that, then you take it to Sandra accounts. At the end, what is also important is you need to add up all the columns and get the totals at the bottom. So look at bank, for instance, you need to add it up, and at the bottom you get the total of 49,839. And so you do exactly the same with wages, add up, get the total of 12,000, and so you go on. Okay, getting back to the CRJ, let's recap on that one. With document number, in this case, every time it was a receipt. Day is the day on which the transaction happened. Details is the name of a person from the transaction. Then the amount. Okay, in this case, every time the amount was with analysis of receipts that we see as the safe of the business, bank, and then it was depending. Okay, if it is a services rendered transaction, then it goes to current income, like on the 5th, the 11th, and the 20th. If it's anything else, like for instance, the capital transaction on the 1st, then it must go to sundry accounts. So normally it's like capital, rent income, anything else except services rendered will go to sundry accounts. Then at the end, you need to add up the columns, and you will see you're going to start with bank. So you need to add up bank, and you get then the total at the bottom of 77,600. So you do exactly the same with current income of 17,600. And then, okay, with sundry accounts, there was only that one amount of 60,000. Right. So again, remember, we're taking a little bit of a step back. We're looking at the CRJ and the CPJ for a service business. When we're going to get to a trading business, then it's going to look a little bit different, especially the CRJ. The CPJ is actually staying the same, but there will be some slight changes with the CRJ. Right. I hope you guys have your chat box open and ready. Fingers on the keyboard. Here comes a few questions. Remember, it's about that table that I've told you that I'm going to ask you some questions. Maybe let me just quickly go back to the table. Right. You've got 2 seconds. Scan through the table quickly. Then I'm going to take it away, and then I'm going to ask you some questions. Right, ready? Taking it away. Okay, I'm just going to leave it on that slide. Here comes the first question. Let's see who's going to answer it first. Name one example, any one example of an income. Name any one example of an income. Right, Onka was first, rent income, great. Next one. Name an example of a non-current liability. Name an example of a non-current liability. No, Onka? A non-current liability. Cash float is an asset. Non-current liability. Liability, remember, when you're going to owe somebody some money. Right, good. There we've got loan. That is an example. Right. Trading stock is an example of what? Trading stock or trading inventory is an example of what? Right, thank you. That's an asset. Right, who can give me the 4 things that is falling under owner's equity? Mention the 4 things that is falling under owner's equity. Mention the 4 things that is falling under owner's equity? All right, let me help you on that one. Okay, the four things that is falling under owner's equity is capital, drawings, income, and expenses. Okay, I'm going to repeat that one. The four things that's falling under owner's equity is capital, drawings, income, and expenses. Right. Let's see if you know this one. What type of asset is equipment and vehicles? Okay, it's an asset, but I want to know specific what type of asset. Thank you, Onka is quick on that one. It's an example of a fixed asset. And okay, let's make it a little bit different. Can somebody give me in a very short sentence a definition of capital? Just in a short sentence, a definition of capital. All right, Onka again on that one, and saying it's used to start up the business. That's right. I mean, you need money to start a business with, and when you invest some money in the business, then we call it capital. Right, here comes my last question. Okay, this is an easy one. Mention 3 examples of expenses. Mention any three examples of expenses. Any 3 examples of expenses? Right, Carmo is saying stationery, wages, telephone. Onka was again also saying telephone, water and electricity, rent expense. Yes, you're all absolutely correct. Right, guys, that will be all for today. Just one last thing. Remember, you need to do that assessment. Okay. So please, you don't have much time left over. You only have till this evening to send it off. So I think the best will be, if you haven't done it, that you go onto those links like you have done with the other subjects as well, and complete it for EMS. Please just remember when you're done to press the submit button, and you only have time till this afternoon to send it off. And then, yeah, I will get it on my side, but as I said, we are also going to work through that tomorrow as well, so you can check your own answers. I know there are people, yes, about question 1, to just tell you about that. I have given everything through, but there were some technical people that was putting it on, and according to them, they let me know actually about, I think, an hour and a half ago, that they couldn't put question 1 on it because then it's too big or something like that. So they have said that they withdraw question 1. So don't stress about that one. You just continue with the rest of the questions to complete it. And then we just will do question 1 tomorrow together as well. All right. So don't stress about the question 1. Any other questions that you people have? Just also remember that the school was saying if you didn't or did not submit your assessment in time, then we can subtract 20%, and please, I don't want to do that. So please, people, you only have time till this evening to do it, okay? Okay, somebody's saying they're already done without question 1. That's fine. As I said, don't stress about question 1. Just try to submit all the other ones, but don't worry about question 1. That one we will do together tomorrow. Uncle, I don't know, it sounds like if you have a problem there, maybe you must just, if you have gone out, go in again and just try to do it again and submit it again. I didn't have so far really any problems. But listen, if you don't, cannot submit it, okay? Take a screenshot of your answers, all right? And then you can WhatsApp or email it to me. Remember, there on the first slide, my details is always there. Okay, let me just quickly go back to that first slide so you can see it. Right? So remember, if you are struggling, people, just take a screenshot of it, of your answers, and then you can either email or WhatsApp it for me as well. All right. Okay, any more questions? Okay, doesn't look like that, people. We are then done for today. Thank you very much. Great, no problems today. I'm so glad, hey? So otherwise, people, don't forget with your assessments. Good luck with it. And then we will chat tomorrow again, okay? All right, have a nice evening. Goodbye.